Alright guys, what do we do about mental health? People do not realize how important mental health is to you. There are so many important things in your life, and one of those things that you cannot neglect is your mental health. Now, by mental health, I mean brain health. So, yes, the physical organ, and also um, some people might say spiritual, but I don't believe in spiritual. It's all electrical, and if you don't take care of your electrical organ, um, it's going to overheat and it's going to damage itself, and the damage is unrepairable. So, what can we do about mental health? I am in the county of Los Angeles, and I see so much mental health, and mental illness, and I also see it from beginning to when it's fully recognized. So it's basically like I live in a mental ward, and I see people losing their minds. Plus, with social media, you could see people losing their minds on social media. And a lot of the times, it's women that lose their minds. And they are very vulnerable when it comes to mental illness, because a woman actually needs care from other people. Because I see a lot of mentally ill women on the streets. Most of them a lot of the time, they become prostitutes, and not for lots of money. They're prostituting themselves for food and for cigarettes, for water, for drinks. It's like a woman doesn't know how to get money. The only thing she can do is prostitute herself for her needs. And some women are not great negotiators. So it's essentially important for women to take care of their mental health. And the thing about it is that you can't find any information about it. And I've seen online even millionaires losing their mental health, and they get into this weird spirituality, which is supposed to heal them, but actually that's another form of mental illness. So don't go towards spirituality when it comes to mental health, because the problem with spirituality, this is the main problem with spirituality. It don't matter what religion it is. The biggest problem with spirituality is letting go. That's basically what all spirituality teaches you, is that when you have a problem, don't try to focus on it, just let it go and let the world solve the problem. With mental health, you cannot let that stupid thing go. It's almost like having a hand on a grenade, and spirituality say, you know what, just let go of that grenade and let God, or let karma, or let the universe, or let whatever handle it, and whatever happens, happens, and you just let go and you live in peace. Well, that does not work in mental illness, because the longer you let it go, the worse things get. So you need to control and to manage your mental health. You need to know what goes into your ears and eyes, and even sometimes your nose, because that's where mental illness comes from the hearing and from the seeing, because it goes directly to your brain, and then it starts thinking, and it starts rationalizing and calculating, and then it starts to come up with its own conclusions. So one of the most effective tools against mental illness is being prepared for tragedy, and that is the death of loved ones or close ones. And do not allow yourself to be dependent on certain people. Let's say you have parents that are elderly, and you rely on them to make a living, or you rely on them for your happiness, or something like that. As soon as they're dead, that happiness is taken with it. So you got to understand that people die, and you have to be responsible for your own self, and there's going to be a lot of hardships in this world. Now, you don't have to let them hit you as hard as they can, but you have to be prepared for these things and not be relying on anyone or anything. And you have to be very independent, and you have to learn how to walk on your own. So, also with mental illness, things are not as bad as your brain makes them think sometimes, because we have a fight or flight in our brains that make us feel like if something bad is happening, it's going to kill us, which in reality sometimes it does not kill us, and our brain is probably prepping you to get killed, when in reality no, you have no threat to you. So one of the things that causes a lot of mental illness is overthinking. Sometimes you need to stop your brain from thinking, and the way you do that is you stop watching the news, you stop you stop hearing negative things, you stop being around negative people that constantly talk negative things. You need to remove yourself and put yourself in places where people are not talking, and try to avoid negative, toxic people as much as possible. And that is good for your mental illness. Now, if you're stuck with toxic people, that can cause you more severe mental illness. So I have yet to see anything to help us about mental illness and brain illness, because I don't know what the hell, there's no money in it or something, but it's a very big problem in the United States, and everyone suffers with mental illness, and it's a horrible feeling. Your brain has to feel good. Now you could put medications and drugs. Most of the time you're compensating by either eating something pleasurable. Most of the time it's eating or consuming something pleasurable, which is sometimes it's alcohol or drugs, or sometimes it's shopping, sometimes it's dancing, sometimes it's posting things online. You don't realize that all those things you're coping with the mental illness, and getting you're not really solving the core problem. So my biggest suggestion is, number one, stop watching the news. Ignore the news 100%, because the news is 100% bad news. They should just call it bad news. And there's always going to be something bad. There's always going to be a bomb. There's always going to be an earthquake. There's always going to be fires. There's always going to be shootings. There's always going to be killings. There's always going to be all that evil stuff. There's going to be people losing their houses. There's going to be people that burn in buildings. There's going to be people that go postal and attack people. There are people going to run people over. And that's just what the news is all about. Stay away from that shit. Realize that that shit's going to happen all the time. Every fucking time. From now to 100, 300, 5,000 years. That shit will always happen. There's always going to be war. There's always going to be fights. There's always going to be blackouts. There's going to be all these destructive things. Tornadoes. That is just a world. That is just life. That is not going to go away. Calamities, misfortunes, injustices. All this shit's going to happen. And that don't mean it's the end of the world. That means that is the world. That is the world. Understand that. The world is that. That is life. And there's never going to be peace or nothing like that. And there's not always going to be perfect. But you need to take care of your mental health, and that's what's important.